We'll take hold to bounce, because holding is probably a good idea. I appreciate that that's a concept, where they have a custom difficulty. I like that. And I noticed the broken silver shrines thing, and I was like, wait a minute. None of these difficulties have that. But over here on Nightmare with its horrifying blood eye, a mushroom over here is where that comes in. Okay. Well, obviously we're gonna play this on normal, because that's what it's designed for. Because I don't feel like I'm gonna need the additional platforms. I don't think I'll need assist mode. Room respawn would be nice, but it'll be fine. Wake up, Greencap. You are the last of your kind. That's unfortunate for starting a story, huh? To bring us back, you must reach the top of the world. Oh. And we're here. Beyond Mushroom. We don't even have a weapon yet. We just exist. Okay, so those launch you. Got it. That is clearly a thing, but we can't do anything with it yet. Do I have a map? Yes and no. The region is currently unmapped. That's how I get back up. Can't make that jump. You're finally awake. I cannot believe how long it's been since I've seen any mushroom around here. Do I know you? No, but I know you. My sole purpose was to welcome you here, Master Greencap. As you can see, this place appears a bit deserted. It is unfortunate that you have to witness the world in this condition. Something occurred a long time ago, something that my creators feared greatly. However, you have the ability to correct things. How do I do that? Let's take it easy for now. Instead of worrying about that, why don't you familiarize yourself with the surroundings first? I just want to ensure you understand that our objective is to offer assistance and support. You should investigate the remainder of these caves now, but be cautious. Not everyone is friendly. Trust only the stationary statues. The statues that are freely moving may pose a potential threat. Movement bad, got it. This is a thing that I can't touch yet. I was kind of hoping it would be like our first power-up or something. Can't go through those. Whee! Save point? Yep. So we equip things actively there, and we can learn, whoop. So we can learn a bunch of things. Let's not look too closely at that right now, because we clearly can't do anything with that information at the moment. And it's good to know that we can fast travel between those points, just as well as I believe we can in the second game, which is not out yet. Which is part of why I'm doing this one now, is for when that one comes out eventually. Since I had enjoyed that demo when I played it during last Next Fest. We got a sword. Pine Sword serves as your main weapon and doubles as a versatile tool. With a downward slash, you can bounce off enemies and objects reaching previously inaccessible areas. Try it on spikes. Hold down while jumping and press X to slash downward, or jump and press Y. The fact that it works on spikes is interesting. Come Mind Shroom. Each Mind Shroom you find will decrease the cost of offensive powers that use MP to cast. You may not have such a power yet. I presume I can cut these with our sword, yes. Welcome to the Crystal Caverns. It's been a while since I've had the chance to greet someone like this. You made it here with some impressive sword skills. It's too bad your mushroom cap's too large to allow you to slash upwards, isn't it? Well, guess I just have to adapt to that. Can you believe that these caverns used to be a serene and peaceful place? Unfortunately, they're now infested with critters and germs, which make me feel itchy all over. Apparently I can bring mushrooms back somehow? Do you know how I can do that? I'm not certain, although there's someone who definitely knows the answer to your question. The Grand Librarian is a statue that resides in these caverns and is known to possess vast amounts of knowledge. However, I'm not sure if you can enter there yet. Remember, sometimes in order to move forward, we must take a step back, and sometimes in order to reach higher heights, we must first descend. That makes sense? No, but it does sound cool. Read that off the back of a cereal box or something? Maybe a fortune cookie? Okay, I can hit projectiles as well, so I could probably use those to climb up to hit that thing, but there's really not much point to it. Go ahead and get my health back. Oh wait, there's something new I can learn now. Oh, are these like training things then? Training various tactics and such. Ground spikes pogo. Spikes are not a danger if you bounce on them. You can continuously bounce on top of spikes and in that way traverse through spiky areas. Okay, I have to press down each time. I didn't expect that to work. That's why I didn't follow through on that. Whew, that almost didn't work. Not entirely sure that should have worked, but I'll take it. Okay, we collected 3 green thingies, whatever those do. Yay for me. Did change the game, right? Yes. Okay. Was making sure Twitch had maintained the fact that I changed the game as well. Nope, can't hit that and do anything with that yet, I guess. Okay, so enemies drop healing, so that's gonna be important. Okay, the obvious flower sticking out doesn't do anything. Noted, noted. Healing fungus. Hold B to heal. Healing costs 30 MP. At full MP, you'll be able to heal 3 times in a row, indicated by green dots on the MP bar. Presumably, as we get more MP, we will be able to do that more. The longing for my creators is overwhelming, and the sadness within me is unbearable. Is there anything I can do? I long to behold the stunning mushroom cap of my creator again. It closely resembles mine, but is so vibrant and colorful. My cap looks nothing like his, and I've yet to encounter any other mushrooms. Well, what I'm hearing is this statue here is sad and useless, and I'm disappointed in it. I'm noticing, as I'm picking up those mushrooms, my MP meter seems to be going the wrong direction. So I'm kind of confused and concerned by that. Oh, I think there's bad mushrooms we pick up sometimes. Okay. This one seems to be inactive. That's probably important. Oh, no, those are good things. It says 5+ max MP, so I think we're just getting, like, overhealed for our MP, perhaps. Something like that. Not sure. I'm just gonna play it as if it's a good thing for now and hope for the best. Worried for a second there that I needed him. Shield cap. Tap B to parry. Parrying projectiles will bounce them off your cap. Successful parries cost parry charges to recharge with time. Okay. Oh, I see. So I get him to shoot at me, and then I do that. Ta-da! I did a thing. That's also how we dispose of guardians. Oh, you are a monster. Carniflower. Okay. Go back to the carnival. There's a thing up there. I want the thing. I can't get the thing right now, but I want the thing. Presumably I gain something that lets me interact with these soon. It looks like I can't send them straight back up. We'll just ignore those guardians for the moment. They don't really matter at the second anyway. Red spiky vines won't hurt you, but I advise you don't touch them. Thank you. Though, if they won't hurt me, then why are they here? Seems kind of odd, you know? Not gonna be able to reach that right now. Unless... Aha! What's this? Oh, it's a small checkpoint. Okay. We got more things to learn, so let's learn more things. Feel in no way forced to parry. It is very much an optional mechanic in combat, and you're in no way required to master it to beat the game. If you're not comfortable with how the parry feels, try the different settings available in the settings menu. You can parry anything in the game, but only projectiles will bounce off your cap. You can redirect those projectiles by striking them with your sword. Ah, okay. See, that's neat. The fact that you can control them further at that point is really cool. Probably just need to reflect off of this one. Oh. And now I just reflect up there, which is probably gonna be somewhere like off this guy. That's too high, though. Of course. The second I walk away from that spot. There we go. Still don't know what those do, but I'm sure I want them for some reason. Oh, our first boss fight, huh? The warrior statue. Who disturbs my peaceful slumber? Mushroom, returning? I was informed of your kind's return. This signals the impending apocalypse unless I take action immediately. I will eradicate this pestilence from the world once and for all. I think I'll have to fight this thing. What tipped you off on that one, little buddy? Okay, the little tiny rocks don't actually exist. The spike bouncing is going to be the thing that's going to take me the longest to remember that I can do. And I died to contact damage because I decided to try something silly that definitely did not work. This boss really isn't that dangerous, just my hitbox is huge. And I'm still in the experimental phase of things. There we go. Like, obviously he shoots bullets up to stop exactly this technique here, but he can't stop me enough. That's what I was trying to do that whole time, is it'd be funny. Mush Mover Infusion. Unlocks the use of Mush Movers. Strike one with your sword to use it. That, I presume, is all of those statue things on the walls. Yeah. There we go. Oh. What do you know? Doesn't hurt me, huh? Won't hurt you, except your ability to make any progress. Okay, so the crawlers do drop health, just they primarily drop magic. Or at least were primarily dropping magic, probably because that was all we were missing up until a moment ago. That's what I figured. Some of these are going to launch higher than others, based on their arrows. There we go. Brain Node. Gathering brain nodes will give you 6 brain points. Brain points are used to equip relics at a save point. Okay, now we just need to get a relic. But 6 brain points are still useful, probably. I probably don't need to be heading back up, but we saw places where these mush movers were, and there were things there, so I'm trying to go get the things. As you do in this kind of game, of course. You gotta go get the thing. Parry timing seems pretty generous. Aw, oh, come on. There we go. I think that was the only thing we actively saw. Is there anything else for me to learn? Nope, we didn't gain a new learn thing yet. I don't think there was a mush mover thing over here. No, there wasn't. This is where we got our sword, so there's no point for us being up here at the moment. Okay, we do actually have actual mapping information. We just didn't when I looked at the previous map. Okay. So there's an offshoot cave over here, and a downward facing cave in the other spot. Is that this spot here? Yes, it is. Because I thought this was a death pit, so I never went this way. We can't go anywhere right here, right now anyway, though, so it doesn't matter. I do like that these heal you without you having to directly interact with them. Looks like we're SOL on getting back up there right now, though, so we're not following that path at this juncture. This is gonna take just a little bit more getting used to than I thought it would. There is, however, something up here. I don't think I can get that right now. Surprisingly. Mostly just because we're too big to fit between this ledge here. Yeah, and I don't have the air control to pull myself back the other way. So it's just sitting there, teasing me with its existence. Oh no, it's evil butterfly. Oh wow, it literally is just a butterfly. I don't know why I expected it to be something more. There we go, map pins. You can now place custom pins on the map to mark interesting locations you may want to come back to later. Very good. Oh, since we don't have a shrine in this section over here, that's why it's unmapped. Okay. I understand now. Yeah, we'll stick to the map behavior shrine, even though I just screwed it up for this bit here. Needing to find a shrine to get the map is reasonable, so we'll leave that. I was just curious what the options were over there. Want that. I don't even need it, but I wanted that. I should have healed before grabbing that. But it's fine. We're learning. It's like, the systems in this seem to be quite good. Our little mushroom friend feels a little heavier than I feel like he should be. Like, in that he falls faster than quite feels good. Like, it's good in that it's responsive in how you're moving, but it's unfortunate in that it makes your jumping feel really weak. Magus statue. Why does the one who gives life also take it away? I heard the sound of my brother's demise echo through these halls. It was right that the creators of this world would return bearing the hand of destruction. I am ready to face the harbinger of death. The what now? What on the who now? Am I the daddy here? Oh, you teleport, huh? For some reason, I thought he was gonna shoot where I was, not just shoot straight to the side. Can I come back over here now? Yep. Oh, of course, you just happened to shoot exactly where I was standing that time, though. Okay, I can't dodge that. Am I really gonna lose this just barely here? Or at the end? Nah, I got enough MP to heal. I'll be okay. Gotta duck that instead of trying to be aggressive there. Duck again. It's actually a little bit tricky to get a word in edgewise against him now, but I got him. Conjure Mush Mover. Right bumper to conjure a Mush Mover. It will break if you hit it 6 times. Okay, so now I can just summon these. Okay, that'll be useful. Here lies the passage to the surface, secured by hyperbolic host to prevent harm. Let none pass beyond the threshold without their permission, for the future of the world hangs in the balance. I don't need nobody's permission. Let me through. Let me out. Whee! Wah! Yahoo! Mer. And okay. Things in another conversation are occurring. Things that I do not need to have anything to do with at the minute. Ow. Ow. To think, I got through there without getting hit much on the way through before, and I just sat there and just ate all kinds of hits on the way back. There we go. That's a little finicky, but workable. This is how we got down here, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I actually want to go the other way still. I don't think we went to the right down here yet. Oh, it's the other side of this door here. Okay. Convenient. One would almost think I knew what I was doing there. Shut up. Goddamn whiny statue. When will I ever see people again? Wah. Who knew something made of stone could be so weak as to whine about that indefinitely and have nothing productive to add to anything? Did I actually go through all of this before? Because I don't remember if we got stuck our way up here or not. I feel like we didn't. I feel like we went through this whole jumpy bit up here. Yeah, because we had to deal with that jerk. Then we launched across. Yeah. Thought so, but I wanted to make sure. Like, obviously the mush mover thing is to get into the cave, because we can now jump over that ledge. I'm just double checking areas to make sure we can loot everything we can loot along the way. Like that. I think I see what to do here. Like that. Ha-ha! I don't want to go back yet. Okay, so this is definitely a puzzle of some kind for some manner of reward. I bounced just a little too high. What I was supposed to do was just jump this normally. This guy keeps putting his bullets in the worst spots. Some of those jumps really just seem like they shouldn't work, but they do. And I think I see why they made the mushroom guy just a little bit smaller in the sequel. His being this big is kind of a problem. After getting hurt and you have 1 HP left, you will have a brief time to recover 1 HP by striking an enemy. This relic will go on a cooldown after it's used. That's actually really useful, though. So I'm glad I went through that to get that. We can't get up there yet. Well, theoretically I might be able to, but... Why is there an upward launch thing there? Aha! Silenced no dash. Astral Gates. Astral Gates are optional platforming challenges that are in no way required to progress or beat the game. Don't feel bad for ignoring them. Just finding the gates is enough to 100% the game. They exist as a hardcore challenge for players who want an extra challenge. Okay. Ah, okay. Nice. Astral Fragment. Astral Fragments are optional collectibles found in Astral Gates. Looks like they're part of a bigger structure. So that's just bonus. I like that there's those bonuses. And that they make it very clear, hey, you don't in any way, shape, and or form need this for anything. Don't piss yourself off with it. It's kind of an important warning to give people, really. Parrying that to remind myself that parrying exists. Was the caves this way? No, this was the whole climb that I kept doing over and over again already. Dick. Oh, come on now. The one time he makes a decently long jump, and it's to jump me into spikes. This is definitely gonna take a bit of getting used to. Like, there's nothing wrong here, it just feels just slightly off of what I think it's supposed to move like. And I think that's because I played the demo for the second game before playing this, that's causing that issue. This is the right way. Okay, we have enough brain points for that, though if our first relic is taking 10 points, that's a little concerning. I don't think we gained anything to learn yet now. I was assuming that the ability to summon the bounce pads wasn't going to be enough to give me another tutorial mission thing to do. Still don't know what the green things you're getting from those are actually going to be for, but I'm sure we'll find out eventually. Okay, parrying those doesn't deflect them in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so there's 3 rewards in there for whatever these things are. Some kind of green bar, some brain and stuff, and whatever that yellow thing is. Well, this room's not marked in any way, shape, or form, so I'm gonna put a marker here for now. But I think when it's unmapped, it just doesn't move your icon around at all anyway. So it might have been completely pointless to put that marker there, and it may just confuse me in the future. We will find out in the future. Okay, because they're germs, not projectiles, even though they are using the same model as the projectiles from the statue guys. Sure, sure. But some of the potential tech I'm seeing in this game, I feel like a speedrun of this could be fascinating. Just in the sheer degree at which this could be broken. There's a green thing down there. I feel like I want that. How does one achieve green thing? Well, you don't at the moment. That's the answer to that question. All you achieve by wanting that is wasting your time. Which, you know, there's a lesson in greed in that, but I'm going to ignore that because whoever said I learn from such things? If anybody did, then they don't know what they're talking about. I was really expecting to land on spikes. That's why I preemptively swung underneath myself. Which that seems like a strategy in this game. If you don't know where you're gonna land, just start swinging wildly downward and hope for the best. Seems like I actually got 2 health back there, but it might be that he dropped a heal immediately afterwards. Well, that sure was an enemy that existed. Whee! Okay, there's our map update. Okay, no, the marker is accurate still, because that is the room I was looking at. They give you a good amount of pins. They've got one for levers, one for... you need to go up. You got one for X, which I presume would be intended for places that are just like a complete no-go. I don't know what the purple means. Let me go ahead and mute this conversation too, because otherwise I'm going to be getting inundated with notifications while people are doing their things. Which, it's important that those conversations happen. It's not important that I be a part of them right now. Ooh, I wonder if that's a thing I'm supposed to be able to do. Just juggle those platforms like that. I'm gonna go with no at the moment and come back if I need to. Also because that looks like a boss fight and I don't really want to do a third boss already. I guess I chased him off? Question mark? Thank you. Also, gotta love how I said I wasn't gonna mess with trying to juggle that way, and then I try to do it to get to that item instead. As usual, I will always tell others to do better than I do. Always do as I say, not as I do. Boing. Well, we're in unmapped territory once again. Okay, these are inactive at the moment, as expected from things that look like that. I was so close to having that right, but I didn't hit the reflexive move correctly there. Oh, got it. Like, they've got some really neat platforming to this so far. What are these things again? Oh, right, they make offensive abilities cheaper. It's a real pity I still don't have any offensive abilities, huh? All I do is stab. Which is probably all I'm gonna end up using through half of this game anyway, probably. Knowing how I tend to do things. Hi. I don't like that your eyes glow. Welcome, Green Cap. I've been expecting you. Do you seek answers? Yes, please. Tell me what my purpose is. You are the lone fungus, the only mushroom left in existence. You are the only one with the power to bring your species back. As the lone fungus, you are unique and special, with the ability to bring new life to your kind. I'm all alone? How do I bring my kind back? In order to bring back the previous world, you must collect the essence of what remains. You have the ability to revive everything that once existed within you. However, this can only be done at the surface. The first step towards achieving this is obtaining a spell. This spell holds the essence of the mushrooms that used to live in this area. It can be found here above me. After completing this task, you will need to find a statue known as the Hyperbolic Host. This statue is the only way for you to gain access to the surface once you have gathered all of the spells. Your path ahead will be full of danger, but don't be afraid. The fact that you are here, standing before me now, is proof that you are capable of handling whatever challenges come your way. You are our only hope, and we believe in you. I understand. I need to gather spells and talk to the Hyperbolic Host. I can do this. If you have any further questions about this world, I am here to assist you. My purpose is to serve you. Okay. One of the 10 sacred mushroom commandments for ensuring safety and prosperity. Thou shalt respect and protect the natural world of the Mushroom Kingdom, for it sustains us all. Please do not stomp on the Goombas. I'm trying so hard to break that and no, it's not working. Stop it. Oh good, there's the shrine so we can actually figure out the lay of the land around where we're at now. Yep, that's about what I expected, including this sad face up here, just going, ah, why? Upset that he exists. Screw sentry. Okay, I'll screw him. Beware. Beyond this barrier lies a king whose mind's been tainted by the passage of time. He has forgotten that his title was bestowed upon him by the gods, and that it is the gods who hold sway over the kings. Proceed with caution if you choose to enter, but know that if you are able to defeat this enemy, you will gain access to ancient powers that will unlock other regions of this world. Okay. I'm gonna go beat him up now. Screw King. The false god returns after forsaking us all these years. Your absence has been a clear indication of your weakness and your lack of power over this world. Now we, the new rulers, have taken over and your time has come to an end. Prepare to be crushed into pieces as I prove to all that you are nothing but a feeble shadow of your former self. Screw you! I'm already a screw. What do you want with that? Yep, that plan didn't really work out in my favor. Okay, he doesn't he didn't hit that corner the first time. I should have just held my ground the first shot. The fact that he's protected a lot is what's going to make this kind of upsetting. Because otherwise this guy would be a joke. Which is exactly, of course, why he has that protection. Because you're meant to just cross over, hit him, and then get out of there. God damn it. Your fly kind of slow is the problem, though. Like when you launch, you fly across just slow enough that unless you're at a reasonable point in his pattern there, you're just gonna end up smashing yourself into him. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. Like, this does seem like it's actually a very easy boss fight if you do it the way they want you to. Which is just hit and run the whole way. Because basically the only way he can hurt you is if you just time a jump wrong. I was trying to rush it, and rushing it is a real bad idea, apparently. Since he just has so much invincibility. Oh, this also is not great. When he can just park on your head like that. That's not ideal. There we go. Get screwed, nerd. Anyway. Upwards dash. Press A while in the air to do an upwards dash. Certain actions like bouncing off spikes will refresh your dash ability. So we basically just have double jump. Okay. That was definitely worth doing. Because now we can get around probably pretty freely. The reign of the king has come to an end. Verdict has been rendered, further reinforcing the sovereignty of the deities in this kingdom. Yes, the deities. Not me, not the little mushroom guy who just killed him. The gods clearly were the reason why he died, yes. Oh, these are active now, too. Even though those had kind of nothing to do with anything we were just told. Like, this has some very good platforming ideas going. Combat's super basic, but that's to be expected. Wait, it said bouncing off of things was supposed to refresh our upward dash, but it doesn't refresh off of the summon one. Shenanigans. Well, that was easy. Fast recovery. Increases the time spent in a hurt animation after getting hit, allowing you to recover faster. That seems like a blessing and a curse. It depends on whether you keep your iframes the same. Because if you still have your full iframes, but you can react quicker, that'll be huge. If you lose your iframes, that could be devastating. There we go. It's like, there's a lot of stuff just tucked around everywhere. And I appreciate that in terms of exploration, collecting items. And I'm sure as we get more movement abilities, it'll probably become more satisfying. The initial impression is not the best. But like, for example, it already feels a good bit better with this upward dash, as it makes up for our terrible jumping abilities. Of course, you know, not being able to jump very high does have its advantages in that you don't smash your head into ceiling spikes. I needed to find a spot to stand for a second so I could heal. In some ways, there's actually a very similar energy between this and Haiku the robot. Health extension, I presume, considering it's green and our health is green, and it's also round and our health icons are round. I don't know why I flashed purple so much there. That was a little weird. The purple flash is supposed to be when you're able to get the lifesteal thing to happen. Okay, so we're off the map over there. We can get to that other boss door we saw, too. Mechanical Fort. I feel like I'm probably not supposed to be going this way yet. Evil Flower, okay. Your mushroom cap is in such an awful shade of green. My creators had much more delightful green for their mushroom caps. I like how my mushroom cap looks. I suppose it's not my place to insult the divine in such a manner. Please accept my apologies, Lone Fungus. I am the professor, a specialist in mushroom cap cultures. If you show me the cap you're interested in, I can provide you with insight into the culture it used to belong to. Well, that seems useful, even though he's a bit of a dick. Let's not go that way yet, though. Because there's that pink thing we saw back in the first section we can go get with the upward dash now. There's that boss I was just talking about. And I'm sure there's other things that I didn't even notice that we could probably reach now that we can jump higher. So let's see what the deal with this is after we do our learning bit. Yep, his up dash has its own thing. That's what I figured. Hitting spikes with a downward slash will refresh your dash ability, allowing you to dash another time in midair. This only works when striking downward. The forward slash will not do the same. Easy. I do appreciate them actually making sure you understand how to do that in a safe environment, though. This way they can teach you everything you need to know without babying you too hard about it. There we go. Ah, it's another astral gate up here. That's why this was a pain to do. Okay. Silence, no dash. you have to full momentum on these. God, they just come up so fast, though. And if you lose momentum at all, you're just done, so. But if you aim the wrong way, you're also donezo on that one. Eek. Oh, there it is. Okay. I feel like these exist because the one who made this game wanted to make another game, but knew they weren't gonna have the resources to do both. So they just put these in as extras in here. Jesus. These are neat, but kind of brutal. And these are the early ones, so I can only imagine how deep that rabbit hole goes. Like, I'm mashing attack, by the way, and I can't attack at just the right timing to hit those. Like, am I meant to avoid the bounce pads in there? I say knowing full well that I probably can't without falling. Like, I can't hit that second one. Do remember that they did say that these were optional. This is nice, though. The fact you can actually look at the path. Oh, that is literally the end of that path, though. Oh, no. No, remember, they said these are optional. If I really want to, I can come back for those. I'll just... Oh, it's marked on the map anyway. We'll deal with that later. What's the boss in here? Queen Evil Eye. My, what do we have here? Now, aren't you a tasty little thing? I'm gonna enjoy eating you. Come on over here. Yeah, and I'm gonna turn you into bat lasagna. That doesn't sound that tasty. I thought she was gonna shoot. Turns out she was getting ready to charge. Parry didn't work there. That's fine. Parrying is very rewarding. It does a lot of damage. It also makes up for our obvious deficit in vertical attacking. Why do I keep falling for that? I know that projectile goes out upward from her when she dashes downward. Why do I keep jumping into it over and over again? The answer is I'm trying to attack back, and the best angle to attack is from above so I can get those repeated hits. But I just immediately get punished for trying. Oh, you're just doing this straight away, huh? Fine, I'll just do this straight away then. Just happening to get tagged just enough that it's a problem. Of course, this is what happens when you only have 5 goddamn hit points. dang it. And I did the same thing again. It doesn't help that her pattern takes a really long time for things to happen in, so impatience starts taking hold. Like, I get that it's probably meant for her pattern to be kind of slow to make it easier, but for people like me, it actually makes it significantly harder. I'm just like, come on, do something. Of course, you know, there's also ceiling spikes to prevent me doing exactly what I was doing there. And now I'm just gonna start eating shit because I can't be patient. Doesn't help that sometimes I just drop the air attack juggle despite pressing the button the same time, the same pattern. It just drops sometimes. Yep, there was nothing I could do about that. This little mushroom guy just does not move fast enough to avoid drop attacks like that. Unless you stay ahead of it. And since I walked the wrong way, I was just SOL on that one. On the bright side, the live system really doesn't matter in fights like this because we're just right there. It would only matter if we had a longer walk to make. I just need to stop being so damn greedy and trying to speed these fights up. Because these fights are clearly not designed particularly to be sped up unless you really know what you're doing, which we don't know anywhere near that well yet. I keep managing to send myself up into the spikes like an idiot doing that. Yeah, I knew I was getting cornered on that one. You know, it would have been great if you turned around when I told you to. Because I definitely pressed left in between swings and there was just enough of a input lead time there that just didn't work. And once again, he just refuses to follow directions, and we almost lost that because he just will not fucking turn around sometimes. Forward dash. Press right trigger to do a forward dash. Certain actions like bouncing off spikes will refresh it just like the vertical. Seems a little redundant, but okay. I see. So those flowers turn green whenever they're able to refresh your dash for you. Okay, we're here anyway, it seems. Okay. Speaking of, let's put fast recovery on. See how that works out for us. Like, I'm enjoying the art and the music of the game. Just some of the movement and combat just not 100% hitting right so far. I'm hopeful, but there were some reviews complaining about some of the things I'm feeling already, and I have concerns about that holding through the rest of this game. But again, the only real way to find out is to keep going. is worst case, this is just like a... I think this is also an 8-hour game. 8 to 10. So... unless we get Major League stuck on a fight somewhere, it's gonna work itself out regardless. You know, thinking about it, we can use that as a bit of a backdash. The little jump pad summoning move. Not sure how useful it will be as such, but it's a thing it could theoretically do. It is a little weird that there's two separate, like completely separate inputs for up dash and horizontal dash. I feel like those could be two different, you know, they could be the same button, but just input direction to get the dash to go that way. But the other side of that coin is that's also how you get those situations where the inputs get mixed up. Did you know that the royal mushrooms had the ability to teleport to silver shrines? I imagine how fast you could travel if you had that ability. Well, I can travel to some of them. Hi! Hey there, Swarm. How you doing? Ah. Okay, those hurt me, but I can parry them around. I presume, yeah, they're meant to destroy those. Sounds good, sounds good. As long as you're making good progress, that's the important part. Okay, those don't bounce unless they're hit first. Okay. Yeah. It continues to be a heat nightmare across the board. This bounces just awkwardly enough. I want this. I don't really need it, but I want it. Because we still don't have an offensive ability that uses magic. But I'll be thankful to have it when I eventually have one. Problem is, the deflection on this is just weird enough that I'm not wrapping my head around it. That's sooner than I thought. With it being less than 2 days away. Then again, you wouldn't be packing that much if it wasn't soon. Okay, you know what? Let's see what we're up against in here. Master Block Monster. Oh, I see. Wow, it is actually way harder than you might think to fight the push of this platform. I just have so little control when I'm on that gear. Like, the second I swing, I lose all control over where I'm at on that gear. Which it makes sense because he stops moving when he's attacking. But it's really annoying in a situation like this. And now he's just refusing to parry even though I'm pressing the parry button, so that's great. Love that for me. Like, this game definitely seems to be suffering a little bit from some ideas relating to input here and there, and it's not great. Yep, there was nothing to be done at that point. I would have had to have dropped off of there, and I had no MP to heal, so dropping off of there just would have been delaying the inevitable. Like, this is clearly not that hard to fight, just the room is what makes this fight a problem. Like, especially when he goes ham with those shots. Hop off and heal. Like, we should have it this time. Or, you know, that's just gonna not land where I need it to. Oh, now I'm just gonna miss every single one of these, huh? Fucking hate this. See, the difference between this and the Ceres fight is you have a lot more agency on doing damage to Ceres than this stupid thing. Is like, I either do something stupid like run straight into the front of it like that to try to do damage to it, or I rely on the gimmick. That's the problem there. The Ceres fight, you just lay into them and you're probably done with it before you're in any serious danger. But it is more or less the same idea of, hey, guess what? If you can't move, guess what? You're going to lose. Haha. Enjoy losing. Yeah, exactly. This thing's an actual threat just because we are so limited. And the fact that you can get juggled like that is abhorrent. And this is why I'm not just committing to charging in there, is because of that burst it does periodically. It makes it really not super viable to be pushing your luck in there. If it wasn't for this stupid moving gear that they expect you to fight it on, I'd also be fine. Because for those who, some of you may not be understanding what's happening here, and I'm going to explain it right quick so my frustration makes sense. Since I have to move to stay on that gear, I cannot parry, because you're not allowed to parry and move at the same time, much like you can't attack and move at the same time. So you basically have 3 or 4 inputs fighting with each other constantly. And it makes for a very frustrating situation, because you'll be trying to do both because you don't have any choice but to do both in that situation. And then neither of them work. Correct. That is exactly the problem, Swarm. So I'm either stuck like standing over here, which basically means I'm gonna have to keep moving away from here periodically, or I fight with the gear constantly. Because every time he does his burst, I need to get out of there, which is why I opted to stay on the gear platform, even though it sucks here too. Just like every option in this fight sucks. And I'm trying not to have to run all over the place in this room, because this really should have been over already. And that's why I wasn't opting for the jump over it constantly strategy either, because then his shots get all kinds of goofy. Doesn't help that there's just that little lip that catches like half of those higher shots. But there, stupid fight is done with. We don't need to deal with that anymore. And now we finally have a spell. Bouncy ball spell. Press right bumper to cast spell, down to throw it downwards, throw a bouncy ball that deals damage based on its velocity. Okay. You can attack your own spells with your sword. Okay, so I can bounce my own bouncy ball. Like, it's not a bad idea. I just feel like for how early in this game is, the fact that the gears are spinning at the speed they are is a little overkill. Like, that's the whole thing. It's not even that hard a mechanic. It's just a little too much for it being, like, the 3rd or 4th fight in this game. I don't know about that one, because it had a decent amount of Kickstarter backers and such, and I'm assuming they probably put out an early version of it for those backers. so you would presume that they would have then gotten feedback. And like I said, it may just be that everybody decided to go the jump all around the room route, which obviously would have worked better in that situation. No idea. That's a very variable situation, unfortunately. Because it really depends on the kind of people that backed this in particular. I'll give you a hint, though. Usually people don't know how to give proper feedback, so more than likely it got glossed over or improperly mentioned. And it may even have been worse in playtesting versions, for all we know. That might have actually been the better version of that fight. And if I were to say anything about this game in my early opinions of it, I would say that the boss fights are a little over gimmick driven. That's probably the best way to phrase how I feel about those. Because there was a screw boss a little while ago who could only be hurt very occasionally and only specifically right above him. That's also highly likely, yeah. The good old, hey, I played this 1,000 times. This needs to be harder. Meh. Not knowing that doesn't help anybody else. Or not caring. Which, this does have 4 difficulty levels. So you would think that they would just play on the higher difficulty then and not alter the fight for normal. But, you know, not everything gets thought out properly. And again, it may just be that I had a very specific issue there and it just didn't come up. It wouldn't be the first time where I've had an issue that just wasn't addressed at all, even with decent amounts of playtesting. Okay. Can I? Yes, I can. I told you to throw it downward. Why did you throw it at such a weird cockeyed angle? That is really janky to try to use because it seems to bounce an inconsistent distance when you hit it. Not sure how I feel about that, aside from less than positive so far. I see. Except that bounces so aggressively that I'm not sure how you alter your way out of that situation. I don't really have much choice but to use that. Oh, absolutely. But the thing is, it's not necessarily realistic to expect that in all cases, would be the problem with that idea. If you've only got so many people interested in testing your thing, there's only so much you can do with that. Like, what you're mentioning is obviously the ideal situation. That's the ideal type of testing you would want. But if, like, only 5 people are testing the game, you're only gonna have a very narrow amount of testing no matter how you split those people up. Well, that's exactly what I was saying before, is I know for a fact it was a Kickstarter game, and it got pretty heavily kickstarted, so you would think there would have been early people playing it, but it really depends on how they handled their tiering for it. Also, gotta love how I pressed down, which is supposed to throw it straight downward, and all it did was bounce in front of me every time instead of what it did before. So, gotta love that that's not consistent. That's helpful. This one might get put away and never touched again. Especially when, for some reason, even though he's out of his can, he becomes unable to be damaged because he can just loop his animation just fast enough to be indestructible. Really starting to feel that lack of playtesting more and more. Well, that's the thing, is this got enough funding to make it through Kickstarter. I don't know what their goal was, but it's unlikely to have been low enough that it would have been like only 5 or 6 people funding it, for example. So as long as even, say, 10 of those people went for an early version, you'd think they would have gotten feedback to fix a couple of these things. Because, like, that animation loop on that spike enemy, for example, that's pretty horrific. If they can manage to just get an infinite loop like that going, that's not great. That's definitely something that should have been caught, too. And I don't want to sit here and rip on this the whole time, but I don't have a choice but to mention some of these things. And here's another thing, though. This game was successful enough to get a sequel. And let me tell you, that sequel feels miles better based on the demo. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is as much a case of this is the dev's learning experience game, and that's why some of this really doesn't hit right. And that's understandable. Like, you know, mistakes are expected when you're still figuring things out. But it definitely needed a bit more QA, probably. Which, again, in the indie scene, harder to get proper QA sometimes. So I'm in no way demonizing any of this or saying that this is bad. Is that this game has, like I said, a lot of good going for it. It just, some of these edges are grating on me just enough that makes me question it. Well, yeah, and that's kind of what early access is designed to be, though, is your polish and QA section these days. It's kind of what betas used to be, except now more or less early access is, for all practical terms, a paid beta, as opposed to what a lot of people seem to treat early access like, which is a finished product, which it isn't. Now, the other side of that coin is there's plenty of developers who don't follow through on what they're supposed to learn during their early access. Correct. That isn't the point I was trying to make with that sentence. This is 100% a released product, which should be better than this by now. But it's having problems left and right. There we go. Ladybug. Collectible. Okay. That's just a thing I found then. Okay. Yeah, the whole thing about early access being the part where you're supposed to be doing your QA is just a general statement. Since with that topic coming up, it was important to remind people what early access is about, since a lot of people have forgotten that. The game's got a lot of bosses in it. Some of which being just stronger regular enemy, and that too is something I saw in the reviews, and I kind of poo-pooed at that at first because, like, oh, people are whining. But I'm kind of seeing what they're saying now a bit more with that. Is there's a few too many bosses just kind of here. Like, I will still firmly say that this is still a solid enough game. It's just those little bits and bobs that are just not making it hit right. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. Blue key infusion. You will be able to break blue doors with your sword. You will also gain slightly more MP when striking enemies with your sword. I do like that that does more than just give you the ability to open doors. That's nice. Credit for that. And in its own way, playing this is making me look forward to the second game more, because, like I said, they have very good ideas. They just need the experience and everything to follow through on those ideas. Which, based on my experience with this so far, when they made this one, they might not have had. So I think this was another very small team project, like might even have been a solo project. I don't remember. Which again, makes it a little more forgivable. Like, again, not trying to completely be down against it here. Just putting out the thoughts of exactly how I feel about what I'm dealing with so far. But I need to make sure to couch that so people aren't like, wow, this guy's just really after this small team here and he just hates everything they did. It's like, that's not the case. That's not what's happening here. And is there a possibility where I misunderstood something or didn't use something? Obviously. That always can happen. But that too can be its own issue if a mechanic or something isn't made clear enough to the player for them to properly utilize it. That's its own issue. Like, to get back to positive things, what they've done with platforming and such is very, very good. They just, I don't think they have combat down in this game yet. Their exploration and their platforming, both are perfectly fine. The combat's bouncing between aggravating and lackluster is the problem here. Exactly. This is definitely a developer to be watched, but buyer beware to a certain degree when you pick this game up. It depends on what you're looking for out of it, is what ends up happening with this one. And as always, take how I feel about certain aspects of this with a grain of salt, because remember, I'm also the same one who didn't care for Hollow Knight, which people still want to demonize me for that feeling too. But it kind of has some of the same problems to a certain degree. And I can't even say that what's happening in those fights is bad, per se. It just doesn't work the way I would like it to. And some of the fights can be pointed at as having problems. And it's entirely possible that the whole experience cleans up further as you get along, which is why I'm still going. This might just be a couple rough patches for it. Which, you know, every game has its rough patches, so that's also acceptable. You'll get very wildly varying answers as to whether you're missing anything with that or not. Personally, I think you'd get a much better experience just going and looking at it rather than playing it. Because God, is it one of the nicest looking games of that time. But that early game is also fucking boring. See, there's a very iffy thing to the fact that that game is difficult. Is it's also one of the, I would say it's a relatively early adopter of the idea of mixing Souls-likes and Metroidvanias as well, because a lot of the things that make Hollow Knight difficult are things that are adopted from that genre. It's also probably the reason why a lot of indie Metroidvanias have picked up the idea of needing heal charges and things like that and having a very limited health pool compared to things like, for example, Metroid, which has a fairly significant health pool, but no healing. It's one of those things where it's like, this is where kind of the genre split in a way and pivoted. If you have 1 HP left, this relic will automatically heal you after 12 seconds. That seems useful. It's like, after a certain point, there becomes this focus on this dance around to try to make sure that you get... There's a way for the game to punish you trying to heal. And that's where it starts... These things start to lose me a bit, because it shouldn't be focusing on either A, not getting hit, or B, doing this whole song and dance to not get punished when you try to heal after making a mistake. And what would that be, Swarm? I might already know about it, depending on what you're about to list. And I may have just not covered it because of reasons that may fall under what we're discussing right now. Is something I feel compelled to make clear as well is I have no problem with the idea of having limitations, like having only so much healing available within a certain span and things like that. That's all absolutely fine. But it, to a certain degree, it takes over the logic of how something's made. Oh yeah, I picked that game up literally the day it released. That game's incredible. I've still yet to finish it because it suffers from definitely some of the same problems I'm talking about here, where difficulty kind of starts becoming its entire personality, and that's not what I'm in for. But 100%, that is a very good game. It's just definitely a case of not for everybody. If you don't want to get your ass kicked, don't play Ender Lilies. Because that game is definitely more than capable of kicking your ass. Yeah, that's also fair. And that's kind of another thing that I feel like has been inherited a little too much, is areas that force you to deal with some variety of status affliction or just damage over time just by being there. Seems to be another thing that a lot of people have picked up and run with that wasn't much a thing in the genre before. Outside of, you could do that if you really wanted to, but you're supposed to do it with the ability you're supposed to have. Oh, so I need to collect the ladybugs to get these 3 items. Okay. But it's not counting the ladybug for all 3 sets, so there's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So there's 25 of them? Yeah, because there's 10 in each of those rows and 5 at the bottom. And inherited's not the right word, but it's easy to blame the Souls games for that one, just because they're a very easy example of seeing that behavior happen, and then you see that behavior happen afterwards. We'll make green caps fade in color after you've dashed, allowing you to see if when your dash is not available. Well, it already kind of indicates that, but okay. Oh, okay, I see. Over by the health bar, I now have a thing that tells me when my dash isn't available. The funny thing about old school games where difficulty was king, there's kind of a weird split in the logic there in and of itself. Is difficulty being king wasn't necessarily because they wanted it to be that way, it was as much to make it so that rentals would last and all of that, as much as anything else. It was as much a business decision as anything of how things were intended to be designed. And that's kind of why I'm like, you know, maybe we shouldn't be learning from that. Maybe that's not a behavior we should be encouraging. I mean, they tried that already. There were online game rental services for a bit, and they all died because nobody wanted or needed them. And we basically have the same thing on a larger scale with things like Xbox Game Pass and such. Because you're basically renting those games, you're just renting a pile of games all at once instead of a single game. Because the second you stop paying for that service, you no longer have access to those games. Ooh. I probably want whatever that is. This doesn't look that bad to do. We could have done this earlier, probably. Yeah, and it's not exactly a good rental either. That's like coming home after renting a game and realizing it's an LJN property. And yes, I mean that with my whole chest on that one. Ubisoft's become pretty fucking awful. Spike Shield Relic. Gives you a shield which protects you against spikes, breaks on impact, and recharges after you do a heal. Not that fussed about that. Spikes really aren't a problem so far in this game. Everything around the spikes is the problem. And if people are wondering if half of these thoughts that have come up are ever going to get fully fleshed out, no. I'm gonna be real with you, half of the things I've said already left my brain after they were out of the mouth, so... if you want something to be followed up on, you're gonna have to tell me about it. Yeah... I mean, streaming definitely does that to begin with, but I'm already like that to begin with, so it kind of doubles down. Yeah, we still can't get through that. Like, it just starts to become a nightmare after a while. Like, usually I'll be able to pivot back to the thing I was talking about after my sideways tangent. And then times like today where there's been 6 tangents and I've already forgotten where tangents 2 and 3 were supposed to be going. Yeah, that checks out. I went back here for a reason, and I forgot to mark where the thing was. I think it's over here. I think there was like a pink thing up here that I wanted to check on. It's like, as much as I don't care for the fact that there's a bunch of redundant bosses in this game, I do appreciate the amount of items that are scattered all over the place. Like, we've already picked up so many items and we've only been playing the game for an hour and a half. Just for those that came him in later on. We did play a different game for an hour and a half as part of a Lurkit thing. Mapshroom, Deep Grotto. You will now be able to see the percentage of found rooms and secrets in the Deep Grotto location. Thank you. That is so helpful. Oh my god. So you're telling me that for all the items we found over here, we only found a third of the rooms and items in this section. Oh boy. I'm listening. But like, look at this. We have 16 of these, for example, and we have a bunch of abilities and things already. What do you got, Swarm? What's up? Have played every single one of them. Finished is a very different answer. Because I played a lot of them during my era in which I finished nothing. I've gone back and since finished all of the Prime games, Fusion, and Zero Mission all on the channel. And I have finished Super once upon a time in my life. I'm probably never gonna finish Dread unless I make it like a sub-goal or something, because I just did not care for a lot of the early parts of Dread, so just... I know it gets better, but I have to get through to get to the part that gets better, and I don't know if I care enough. Which is a really unfortunate thing to say. I also have Samus Returns, but I just didn't even think about that one because that too didn't do anything for me. It's not bad, but it's just like, eh. It exists. I'm not against the whole, like, parrying melee thing that they did with that. That seemed to have upset a bunch of people. I didn't have anything against it, but I would have rather it didn't exist. But, you know, it's one of those things. That's kind of the thing, is both of those are kind of doomed by just like, this is an idea. And that's where we just got that ladybug from. Because, like, I don't mind the idea of the Emmys for Dread. I don't even mind that much that you need that charged up beam in order to defeat them. I did not like the way it controlled, though. Because it was all kinds of finicky in my experience getting to actually destroy them. Yes, that was the main thing that had me interested in Dread in the first place. The fact that it had any connection or acknowledgement of fusion at all. Yeah, that killed my enjoyment of the game, is dealing with the Emmys. Not even because of having to run from them. I actually enjoyed running from them more than trying to kill them. Because outrunning them wasn't that hard. Trying to kill them, though, was a pain in the ass for genuinely no good reason. And that's my problem with it, is it just was not... It wasn't good. That's the whole problem. I am well aware of Other M, and I personally have no serious problems with Other M. Is the story on it stupid? Absolutely. But no one should have expected the story for that game to be particularly good. Like, that was never gonna blow anybody's minds from a plot standpoint. And it plays fine. It's certainly not what most people would be looking for out of a Metroid game. But as long as you don't think about it too hard in that respect, it's fine. That's about all people are gonna remember out of it, because you hear it every 5 minutes. Or the other remarkably stupid thing that comes up. What wasn't the Wasn't there like a whole thing where the one evil little guy, I think he was a traitor of the group, just got called like the leader or something fucking stupid like that? I would say mild spoilers here, but let's be real, nobody's gonna give a damn about Other M. Yeah, the answer to that might vary a bit, Swarm, but sure, go for it. As I retread old ground, making sure I didn't leave anything else unturned. See, that I didn't realize because I genuinely tuned out a lot of what was happening in Other M. And I also don't really pay attention to the concept of canon, not canon to begin with, because all that does is make people angry. I have never seen this canon, not canon concept in any series lead to anything positive. Oh, you're talking about Metroid in general. Okay. I just saw just the M and assumed you were talking about Other M still. Oh, okay, we can just swim. Okay. I'm so used to Metroidvanias making you unable to go in water until you get a thing that I didn't even think about the idea of being able to swim. Also, apparently, we don't breathe out of anywhere near the top of our head. So that's a thing. Oh, okay, that is what you meant. Yeah, I genuinely did not catch the part where that occurs, but I also haven't experienced any part of Other M for at least a year or two, and I barely paid attention during it, so... Definitely not something that would have stuck to me. But honestly, I feel like they were always on the edge of making the Prime games non-canon anyway. So if that didn't do it, something else in the series was going to. How is this shooting me so high above that constantly? I said this minutes ago, but I'll say it again. People take games leading into each other too fucking seriously to begin with. And you're never gonna get a true answer for a lot of those things. Because I'm willing to bet most of these times the developers didn't think it through nearly enough for these things to ever connect anyway. Because you gotta think about the span of time involved between all of the games being made. It just becomes unrealistic to expect that after a certain point. The web becomes so tangled, it just becomes physically impossible. Just look at the nightmare people deal with when they try to figure out the Zelda timelines, for example, and how it ended up being so many fucking timelines. I want to say primarily 90s. I don't remember if the NES Metroid was before 90 or not, is the only reason I'm hesitant on that. Did I do this already? I might have done this already. Nope. Knight's Trinket allows you to attack while walking without any slowdown. This would have completely fixed that fight. This would have completely solved that problem. Well, not completely. I would have needed the ability to parry while walking as well, but this helps. This is what I was afraid of finding when I when I was complaining about that fight, is that we would find something that would have solved that problem. But still not ideal. That makes sense. That's why I was sketchy on that, because I knew the Super Nintendo and such would have been out early enough for that to have been an either or. If it makes you feel better, Swarm, I'm older than Super Metroid. Not by a lot, but by enough. Yeah, that's life. Struggling and turning to dust by the minute. That's just how it be. Okay, so we already looked at everything up here. We can't finish a lot of the thoughts that are up here that we didn't already do. There's nothing over here because this is where the surface is. Let me pin that so I remember. There we go, just put a X there. Like, don't go there. Goes nowhere till late. Don't touch this. Sounds good, Swarm. It's always good to see you. Good luck with the packing, and if I don't hear from you before the move, good luck with the move. Now that I've taken the time to explore and cool down a little bit about being aggravated at that fight, let's go back to trying to make forward progress. Because that's the good thing about having a lot of ground to explore in games like this. And I think that's why I never truly got frustrated at a lot of Metroidvanias. Is you run into something you can't handle, or you just have a really hard time handling, you just wander off and fuck about for a while doing other things and come back to it. You're not stuck with it. You don't have to sit there and pound your head against it in order to do anything. Which, you know, there are plenty of games where you absolutely don't have to sit there and pound your head against the thing that's upsetting you as well. But some of them make it feel like that's your only path in ways that makes it complicated to separate that. You know, I probably should have used the teleport feature, huh? Rather than walking back. But walking back means I might notice something I missed. We could also turn in the ladybug we found. I don't think we found more than one. Oh no, we did find two. Two more and we'll get whatever the green thing is. Whatever it does. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Like, these sections I actually really like. I like these platforming sections that they make you do. Like, for one, 90% of these are completely optional for things like these ladybugs, which I don't know if they're required or not, but they have every feel of being optional since they're just listed as a collectible. And the 3 items in the thing above us don't look like they're required. So that's a thing. And most of the time, if you fail one of these, you can tell where you went wrong, and you can tell that it was your fault. Because you can look ahead of yourself in these because of the green thing that lets you explore it and everything. So you can't even claim that there's newbie traps in them because you can literally see the entire thing ahead of you. If you don't use that, that's on you. You made a mistake by not using the information at your fingertips there. And that's something I have to give them huge credit for. Because it would have been very easy for them not to add that. That would have been very easy for them to just say, oh, you'll figure it out, and just let you die 1,000 times trying to make your way across it. Because you just slam into the next new wall. And this is also exactly what I mean when I tell people that if they're gonna talk about what they think with something, they should try to find anything positive to counterbalance with, because there's always something positive you can point at. Even in the worst game, there's usually something that you can point at that is at least somewhat of a positive. Even if the positive may be that the game's short, so it's over. You know, just overwhelming negativity really just doesn't do anything for anyone. It doesn't teach the person who created the thing anything. It doesn't help you feel better about it. And it doesn't sound any good to those who might be hearing you give that critique. If anything, it usually just makes you sound like an asshole. That's not to say you should make something up to say something positive about it, though. That's the other side to that coin. You have to be saying something that actually exists about it, not, oh yeah, there's this mythical secret thing over here that's clearly great, even though there's no secret thing there at all. Like that's not helpful. Okay, that'll get us the thing. I will say, that's one thing I don't particularly appreciate about this game right now, is the fact that your horizontal dash sends you vertically. It doesn't send you vertically much, but it's enough to get you in trouble, and that's clearly intentional. Like, they did that on purpose to make it more... It makes it need more precision, and that's fine, but I don't have to like that. Like, that starts entering unnecessary levels of fiddle territory. But I also understand that if there was no vertical boost to that dash at all, you'd have different problems. So that is a double-edged sword no matter how you look at that. When you try to design something like a horizontal dash or a vertical dash or anything like that. There's a boss up here? That is not what I expected to find climbing all the way up here. Then again, like I said, this game is riddled with boss fights. Which, on the note of boss fights, there is something I need to point out that I appreciate, and that is, you may have noticed when I broke that barrier, I got a full heal. They make sure you're in the best shape you can be the first time you fight these bosses so you don't stumble into them half dead. Credit where credit's due, that's a good thing. But then you have the fact that there's fights like this that are literally just big germ. Oh, the excitement. Oh, good. I'm glad that didn't count for healing me. why did my hit something to heal thing just not trigger? Even though I was still blinking. Weird. Okay, I can parry those. They looked so much like the germ enemies that I wasn't sure if I could parry it. I should have just tried. I don't, honestly. That's on me for not having tried it. Because this fight's clearly not going to be very difficult overall. This laser's kind of a dick move. But, like, just look at how much damage he takes from every parried shot, for example. Which, as they've said on numerous occasions, parrying is in no way necessary, but it helps. There we go. Bouncy Spore spell. Throw an explosive spore that deals more damage if you strike it with your sword. Okay. Like, and it might just be that this game may suffer, considering, you know, it's got more and more bosses and things like that scattered all over. It may just be that they couldn't decide what to cut. Like, they had so many ideas and couldn't decide what to cut from it, so they just put all of them in. Because that is the thing that game development obviously suffers from regularly, is what to keep, what to cut. And that is, putting everything in is certainly a way to solve it, and ordinarily I'm down with that idea. Some monsters will rather eat the bouncy spore than you. Good to know. So I guess it's also like some kind of trap move we can use. Wow, that thing is also very small. Can I bounce off of it in any way, shape, or form? Yes, I can. You actually get some pretty good height off of it, too. Power Extractor. Enemies on death will now have a chance of dropping power-ups you can pick up to make you stronger temporarily. That's fun. On the whole, arguably completely irrelevant, but it's fun. Like, for how early in the game we are, we have a lot of things. Like, we do and we don't, I should say. Just so many items scattered all over the place. So I do wonder, with how densely packed this game's been with bosses and items, how big is the map for this game? Because you gotta think, we've only been in 3 major areas, but they're all decently sprawling and very packed with things. Considering we only have 2 spells and 1 emblem so far, I feel like we probably have a decent amount of ground yet to cover. And, like, obviously, we've only gained 1 weapon, but it looks like there's room for a lot more next to it. But these may also be primarily abilities, not necessarily weapons. We've gained 3 abilities in this line, 2 here. Well, no, 3 in each line, if there's this all over here, too. There's just so much. Okay, so there's another astral gate up there. There's whatever this is just hanging out here. Invincibility stone. Increases the amount of time you spend in iframes. Neat. Ah, that's why those are up there. I am the hyperbolic host. My authority runs through the veins of this kingdom. So you are the lone fungus, seeking a path to the surface. Yes, please. The spells you carry in your cap will be mirrored in my cap. The way cannot be opened until all the spells are reflected. If you do not take these spells with you above ground, the mushrooms from which they originated will be gone forever. And because of that reason, I cannot allow you to reach the surface before you have gathered all the spells. Is this understood? Yes, I understand. Can you tell me what will happen once I reach the surface? Forgive me, lone fungus, but I am not here to answer any questions. Please direct your inquiries to the other statues. I am not supposed to be helpful. I'm just here to be in your way. My goal is to keep the barrier up until you have completed your mission. Now go and come back when you have acquired all of my creator's spells. I will indicate on your map where I sense the presence of the spells you require to collect. Additionally, I will mark my location on the map so that you might find your way back here. That's actually incredibly helpful. That might be the single most helpful thing any of these have done so far. Which this was already marked on the map, but that was because of when I had accidentally toggled on the other map type, I think. We already found that one. We got that one. So there's a spell there. Okay, what this tells me is this map is a fair bit bigger than it looked. A lot bigger than it looked. Okay. Okay. We've got some ground to cover. There's a lot of spells too, but we knew that based on the amount of slots in the hat there. And the amount of slots, obviously, in the spell section here. Because we can already count that right now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so there's 10 spells. And we have 2 of them, so there's 8 more to get. And having a basic idea... Ah, so you needed the boost from that to break the log. Not like a specific attack ability or anything. You know, speaking of gaining the ability to break things, we never did go break any blue blocks after we got the blue block breaking key thing. But I've also not seen any blue blocks that I can think of. Which makes that a little weird. There's also possibly something here I didn't get since there's a space there? I don't know. Like, that's kind of the other side of the coin of it's good that there's a lot of things. Is the downside to that is can also be a bit of information overload in certain ways. You just kind of get spoiled for choice right off the bat, so it's like, okay, well, what out of all of this do I do? Which is why my answer usually is what you've been seeing me do, which is just run around and whatever happens, happens. Let's go turn in the one ladybug we found, so that we can get whatever that green thing is and see if that does anything relevant. Presumably it doesn't do anything too major, because otherwise why is it hidden behind something like this? Okay, no, that's pretty significant. That makes our sword stronger. I'm glad I did that. So these are all upgrades, because I'm pretty sure this up here is probably one of those health extension ones, or it's one of the parry ones, one of the two. And this is obviously more brain and power to carry more relics. So nothing like, oh my god, if you don't get these, you can't win the game. But they will make winning the game a lot easier. Like, that is more than half again the damage we were doing. That will actually make a huge push towards making boss fights better for us. Is it will take less hits, which means we will have less time to make the mistakes to get hit. Quad damage? Oh, hell yeah. Whee! Just fucking quad damage just sitting in an enemy's body. You know what? They're starting to win me back with silly things like that. I was wondering what the power-ups were gonna be. And now we know. Yeah, we still didn't gain anything that we actually need to use any of these rooms for, though. So I'm betting spells don't count for any of these. These are all, like, main mechanic things. Now, the question is, do I trade anything out? Because here's the thing. This is basically almost a one-to-one trade here. Because both of these require me to be down to 1 hit point. One requires me to be able to hit an enemy, and the other one just is a timer. So I'm gonna try the one that's on a timer and see how it goes. And I'm gonna take the increased iframes. Because here's the thing, the increased iframes should then lead to us being able to more readily utilize the timed heal. Yeah, no, there's no way I'm getting up there right now. Because we don't get our dash back from our spells. Which still seems so weird to me. Like, I feel like since they described it as when you hit something, get your dash back, it should affect your spells as well. Like, it's a very minor thing, but it keeps bugging me just purely on the basis of the fact that it negatively has impacted me. Like, I can guarantee you that if I'd never fallen off a ledge or anything because of that effect, I wouldn't care. But because it has negatively impacted my gameplay, I am upset about it. Oh yeah, we already went through there and did all of that. Oh, I need to go get the bouncy ball back. Oh no. Oh, that's what it meant by blue block doors, is I don't need a ball to break those, I can just hit them. Ugh. Why would I want that? Like, that just seems like it would be, here, make your healing more difficult. Like, I guess if it doesn't time out, you can preemptively throw those around, and then you just have to time it, which has its own utility, probably, but ugh. That's just asking to get yourself killed when you try to heal, though. I'm also not sure how to feel about the fact that when we parry, they go at a set angle away from you. But I think that's just because I'm so used to it. So many other things that have projectile parrying that just send the projectile back the other way. Okay, I've unlocked a skin, apparently. You know, I don't really know how or why. Didn't even know those were a concept in this game, but I guess that's a thing that happened. Oh, hey, I found another gate. And I suppose to backtrack to the idea of ender lilies for a second, I'm probably never gonna cover ender lilies on the channel because I will tell you right now, I will invariably get frustrated with that game. It's a very good game, but it hates you. Like, it is out to kill, and it's real good at it. Okay, I can't manipulate that one like that. That's just not gonna work. Like, it's a very good game, but it is a very difficult game. And just judging from the experience I had with, like, the first half of that game, which is as far as I went before I got distracted by other things, it would take me a level of consistent focus that there would be just no good commentary really coming out of that most of the time. That's not to say I couldn't do it. I absolutely could do it. I just don't know if it would be that watchable is more the concern. Much like how I don't really cover Souls-likes long-term on the channel either. Is more often than not, especially in boss fights, the commentary just kind of stops. And I just don't know if that's that engaging at that point. Like, obviously, it's great for those that enjoy watching people suffer. There'd be plenty of that. While you're in the process of healing, you will shoot projectiles out of your mushroom cap, but it comes at an extra cost of MP and can only be done while in the healing state. I mean, that seems useful, at least. But obviously, we don't have it active right now because it's equipable. Now, there is a caveat to the whole Souls-like thing, though, and that is, as I've acknowledged every time I've been in one of those situations, there is always an easier way with those. But it's the classic I know me and how I do, and I know I'll get myself into a position where I will not be happy. So that's why those end up getting filed under, I'll show them off so people can see them, but most of them are never getting completed on the channel because there's invariably going to be a boss fight that's just going to make me want to put the game down and never finish it. And that's not saying that it would be something that's beyond my abilities or, oh no, it's too difficult. There's just plenty of boss fights in those games that are just decidedly unfun. Like, they're fun for the people that's designed as the audience for. I am not that audience. Which that rolls back to some part of what I was talking about when I said that I didn't care for Hollow Knight. Because it's all tied into those same ideas that got kind of carried over in some of the lessons that it feels like were learned that led to those decisions being made and those elements being added to a game like that. And that's just not design I particularly enjoy, so that's why it ends up not working out for me. That's why that's always caveated as like, hey, this game is good, just sucks for me. Which, I suppose the final line to that thought is, Silk Song's a thing. Am I going to play Silk Song when it comes out? The answer to that is maybe. Much like I will be open to playing this game's sequel when it comes out, even though I've been having some less than stellar moments with it. Though this game's sequel, of course, has an advantage in that there was a demo I got to play where I learned that it plays more in line in a way that I would enjoy, by comparison thus far. Though I anticipate it will be a harder game, judging from what I experienced with the demo. So that's going to be a thing. But yeah, that pretty much applies across the board to Silk Song as well. It's really going to depend on whether it seems like it's any different from Hollow Knight, or if it's just quite literally an expansion with a sequel label on it. And that also, you know, depends on it ever actually coming out, too. That's also a thing. A game kind of needs to exist to be played. Now, to kind of actually go through some of the ideas that I don't care for, to explain why that works the way it does. Thanks for the resub, Pazzy, and goddamn, yeah, it is almost a year. How's today working out for you? Yeah, for example, forcibly limiting the player is usually something I don't care for. Like, it makes sense from a conceptual level that there's gonna have to be limitations in play. Like, obviously, you can never leave a player completely uninhibited in any way, because there's then no challenge. But what I mean is things like, for example, what we have here, where there's a mana bar limiting your healing. That, I understand, it makes sense, it's fine, and it's rechargeable. Games that arbitrarily limit you to a certain amount of heals just for reasons are kind of what the thing is that aggravates me in that regard. Like checkpoint-based heals, even them kind of aggravate me sometimes. Like, that at least has reasoning. But it's a bit of a thing. I did that on purpose for the most part. Right there. How do they intend me to get across this? Like, I feel like I'm meant to just air dash my way there, but I might not have enough to get there. Okay, so that does work. I just didn't anticipate it working. So what I do then is run out of charges, because I forgot. That's not showing charges, that's how much MP it uses. Okay, that still doesn't reach, though. But that was me using a vertical dash, not a horizontal. Yeah, an MP system like this, absolutely fine. Checkpoint-based healing, I'm a lot more mixed feelings about, because there's no recovery available, so if you just make the finite amount of mistakes too many that they've decided you are arbitrarily limited to, you're fucked. That's kind of the thing that gets me there. Which is where the point about comparing how some Metroidvanias have changed because of crossing over in some regards with Souls-likes comes in. Is the point I was trying to make previously about that is the fact that they've become a lot more about a much stricter health system. And that is the aspect that I don't particularly care for in a lot of these types of things. I don't feel like punishing the player for every single mistake they make leads to as engaging and entertaining an experience as many people convince themselves of. But that's also a personal preference thing. That is never going to be a, like, this is an objective thing. I just prefer to have the freedom to do more with less concern about, oh, my finger slipped, I guess I lose now and have to redo X amount of things that aren't even that interesting to do to begin with. Which ties into the other thing about how many games seem to put a lot of stock in limiting your combat options as a means of making a game more difficult. Which obviously succeeds in what it's intending to do. Limiting your combat options will obviously make a game harder. But does that really make it engaging? And the answer is mixed on that one. Because the positive side to that is if you limit your options but allow people room to be creative within those limited options, it then can loop back into a positive. But if you limit it purely for the sake of limiting it and making it more difficult by virtue of that, I don't feel that that's a positive. Again, mostly personal taste on that. But this is where the logic comes from that is part of what pushes me out of some genres. He just didn't even really have a voice. Look into my blue eyes, remember me, and you will give me purpose. Something that allows you to travel the world quicker exists beyond this point. However, I don't think you are agile enough to pass here yet. Well, now you've challenged me. Now I feel like I have to. Like, I'm pretty sure he's correct. Because of a very simple reason. They are cheating right now because they silenced me, so I can't use my magic to bypass this puzzle. So I have to have something else in order to be able to do that. You're just physically unable to do it without a different passive ability. And see, that's the thing though. That's fine because they made it very clear that that's how that's going to work as well. During times of great solitude, the crystal shall fracture. The fragments once reunited by the solitary seeker shall unleash a force not of this realm. This is what all of those astral plane things are for. The bonus thing we were doing, that we did one of successfully. And there's another door there, which we're not touching. At the end of the line, I don't expect anybody to agree with any of the things I've stated here today. If anything, I would actually be very interested to hear people's thoughts disagreeing with that. So I might better understand where the mindset comes from that makes those as popular as they are. Because like I said, certain aspects of it I understand, but other aspects of it I really just can't wrap my head around. So I would be interested to know where the other side of that comes from. And mind you, this is not meant to be a statement of looking for an argument. This is a statement of trying to understand people. Honestly, people are confusing. That's just a statement of fact. As usual, to showcase the positive side with the healing thing I was talking about, by the way. Take this game, for example. You have a way to recover out of a position where you've made too many mistakes by virtue of the fact that since you gain MP back when you hit enemies, as long as you are good enough at what you do to avoid damage for long enough that you can get MP back even in a boss fight, you would then have a chance of recovering. As opposed to a checkpoint-based system which requires the skill more or less to be front-loaded. And again, like, skill set dependent, that's going to be better for some people than for others by default. But this is what I mean when I say that there is a positive side to that. And I'm sure that a positive side to the... Yeah, this is the ledge we couldn't climb over earlier when we looked at it and I made a joke about Goombas. Like I said, I'm sure there's a positive side to the very limited systems that I'm talking about, like the checkpoint-based healing and things like that. But other than difficulty, I genuinely can't wrap my head around what the positive side of that would be. So is it just because people are that into that type of difficulty, or is there something else to that? Oh hey, I accidentally found a secret. And just to be clear, in case people are coming and going and may not have understood where the conversation was spinning, I don't mean checkpoint-based healing as in like in a standard platformer where you make it to a checkpoint and you get fully healed. I mean heal charges tied to making it to, just to use the simple example, getting to something like a bonfire. You'll be able to heal much faster after your first heal, allowing you to heal multiple times quickly. That'll be helpful, because usually when I take a moment to heal, I'm trying to heal multiple points at once, so that will be incredible to equip if I have the room for it. I figure most people are willing to agree that healing the player when you reach a checkpoint is a positive thing. I don't really hear very often people saying, no, you shouldn't get healed when you touch a save point or a checkpoint. Usually it's quite the opposite. Oh, I'm on fire now, so this is helpful. Except it didn't stay when I left the screen, so that's unfortunate. Wow, I took a really extensive wrong turn away from where this was, huh? This is what I get for not checking the map for a while. So I just happened to walk left, not paying attention where I was going, and there was one of the spells right there. Or could I not open that door? I already don't remember. But we're gonna, I guess, take a quick walk back around to get there. Depending on how long it takes to grab that spell, if it's possible though, that might be reasonably close to when we wrap for the day. Depends on if I get a sudden burst of energy again after doing that. Like if it leads to big things. This one, I feel like might actually be longer than the how long to beat time described, unless there's something that wildly changes with the pacing after getting insert spell here. Because it feels like we've been going very slow on the actual main goal right now. But we're getting a lot of groundwork done, which might be why it will change pacing drastically after that point. There's also these doors over here, but the spell's right there, so I should figure that out. That's just kind of goes for a while, huh? And it leads to a ladybug. And then out this door. Actually, no. That door didn't lead out, so I'm not that interested in it at the moment. Yeah, I think we quite literally just didn't walk this way. Which doesn't lead... Okay, so this door is what leads to the spell then. So it's not as bad as it looked. Still kind of bad, but not as bad as it looked. Something else I should probably point out for those who may have come in late or anything like that as well. Bear in mind, this game has 4 or 5 difficulties. Yeah, it's 5 counting the custom difficulty, where I could have changed a lot of things about how the game works to be more palatable. The thing with a custom difficulty like that is you do have the gamble of your players may not understand what any of that means until they've experienced it. That said, as I've said on numerous occasions, I am always far more in agreement with somebody adding a difficulty adjusting method than just having 1 or 2 standard difficulties. You see that thing over there? That's a mush holder. It will hold you in place for a while, though you might be missing something to fully make use of it. Ah. That's why the other bit we tried to jump across didn't work out for us, is because we needed an ability to make those holders work. And it's a big butterfly. Okay. Yeah, they're still losing me on the basis of these boss fights. All but like 2 of them have been just, hey, this is a real big enemy of a type you've seen already. It has some new moves, though. Isn't that cool? Like, they were off to a real good start with those boss statues at the start of the game. Because they were at least both different from each other. And even they were kind of just, hey, a bigger version of an enemy that existed, because we had plenty of statue enemies in the game that we were dealing with up till that point, and they probably are just bigger versions of those statues. And it may just be it was just early enough that I didn't really notice it, but it felt obfuscated just enough that it didn't stand out to me that they were just bigger versions of enemies. Whereas when you call something quite literally Big Butterfly, it's kind of hard to miss. That wasn't a bad fight, though. Decent amount of danger from the amount of projectiles coming through. Nothing locking you from being able to do anything to your opponent. You know, no arbitrary invincibility or anything like that. So that was fine. Nothing really to write home about, but entirely fine and fight anyway. Boost projectile spell. Cast a projectile that flies upward, downward slashing. This spell will propel you forwards. Okay, and now we've got a fancy hat. Like, that's neat. The fact that our head changed. And that is the spell that was here. Okay. I do like that these are all grayed out and they get colored in when you've collected them as an extra verification, like, hey, you did this. You don't need to go over here anymore. Like, that's another thing to give this game credit for, is the amount of good map design there is in this as well. And that's what the holders are for, is so that you have time to cast that spell. It's kind of like playing Ness and Smash and trying to PK Thunder yourself to a good place. You kind of need something that'll hold you there for that to really pan out. But that took way less time to achieve than I thought it was going to, so we'll keep going for a bit longer yet. I was aiming for kind of like the 4.5 hour mark, give or take. Might go up to 5. It would help if I remembered where the thing we were just looking at that had that mush holder was. It was somewhere down here. What's your deal? This barrier seems to be locked. Well, good job. It's almost like there's a lock right there, genius. Thanks for telling me what I already figured out. He could have, you know, told me, hey, you need a key for this or something. That would have been more useful than just telling me it's locked, which I already can see with my eyes. That almost looks like it needs fire or something. Is there a symbol that matches these blocks somewhere around? Not really. I mean, this one might be. I don't think so, though. So there must be something we find that might not necessarily be a spell that does that. I know I had looked at those blocks already, and I had internally thought about what I was just saying there, but I didn't vocalize it because I was too busy talking about something else. I forget exactly which part of the ramble I was on at that point. There was a lot of ramble that happened. Invincibility. I think this is the thing I was trying to do and couldn't make it. Nope, I shouldn't have burnt my dash. I am a fool. It's so easy to forget that you need to save your dash for after. Apparently I still missed that, though. So that's a thing. Okay. Okay, that's not a holder, I guess. Okay. Unless maybe I need to hit it? Because it's got the exact same model as the other holder. Problem is, I'm now not going to have the MP if I make a mistake again. And that's kind of the flaw with the MP system here. Yeah, it is a holder. So I don't know why... whatever. Oh, come on, game. Why? Fun fact, I was pointing down, and he decided he wanted to swing to the right instead of down, despite what was indicated on the stick. Now I gotta go get MP again. Which thankfully doesn't take long to get the MP back. it just makes it inconvenient to retry something like that repeatedly when you don't have a source of the resource needed near it. But you know, some could say that's part of the intended difficulty of it, is not having the resource near at hand. And that's fair. Green health orb relic. There's a 30% chance you will drop a green health orb when you get hurt. Strike it with your sword to recover lost hit points. That seems really good, and it was really worth fighting with to get that. Because having a 1 in 3 more or less chance to have an opportunity to get health back, you may not necessarily succeed, would be very potent. So we will definitely be putting that relic on when we get a chance to. Which, that's another thing to talk about. And it's the idea that you could only change these at a shrine or save point or what have you. That part I'm kind of fine with. I would prefer to be able to freely swap, but it makes sense that you wouldn't be able to freely swap. Just purely because of the power available to you from those relics. If you could swap them at a moment's notice, there would be some very broken things that could be done. That said, that brings about a different point, though, in that it's a single-player game. Let people be broken if they want to. But I get protecting your intended difficulty, and I understand, and within a certain range, respect that. So that angle at least makes sense. And bear in mind, not every point I'm making today is coming out exactly the way I intend the point to be, but it's getting the ideas across enough that if people ask for clarification, it'll probably get to the right point. Oh, that's right, I'm silenced, so I won't be able to use this spell here either, so there's still something else we need to get through there. And this is probably teaching me what I've already learned, but we'll do it just to get the green thing. Mush holders will hold you in the air when struck with your sword, allowing you to cast a spell while locked into position. To release from the mush holder, all you need to do is jump. Combining the power of the mush holder with the boost projectile spell will allow you to reach new places. Striking the boost projectile spell with a downward slash propels you forward. The same gap can also be reached with some other spells, which we learned already, yeah. Oh, it's actually telling you exactly what to do in what order here. That's different for this game. That said, we had already figured all that out. But it's nice of them to actually show you that little interactive tutorial video thing, like, hey, this is slightly more complicated and requires a very specific order of operations compared to the other things you've done so far, so here, this is how you do it. Okay, if there's one of two things I would need to manage to get past that spot. Hey there, you're right. Thank you for the raid. What were you up to today? Hopefully everybody coming in from this is doing well. You've mostly come into me ranting about game design, as y'all are probably used to hearing from me by now. For those that don't know, I'm Drac. I complain about things a lot, and I play a lot of old games. There you go. He is Mushroom. He had a green cap initially, but we have turned purple because we've gained this spell that sends me forward when I hit it. But what were we up to today? And hopefully everybody coming in is doing well as well. Okay. Which Yakuza was it? That's fair, yeah. We do both go on about game design a bit here and there, don't we? Yeah, right now you've caught me in the middle of trying to figure out where I'm actually supposed to be going. Because our goal is to collect all of these spells you see grayed out around the map in order to go to the surface and bring back the rest of the mushrooms. The thing is, finding your way to each of those spells is, of course, as you'd expect in a Metroidvania, kind of the whole thing. So, it's been a bit of a ride. Yeah, exactly. It's the other half where it sometimes hasn't been hitting, which is where the joke about complaining a lot came in. It's had some design choices, but we won't go into that because it'll make itself apparent over time. But I am glad you chose to pop in over here, regardless of how things may be going at the moment. Am I going the right way for where I'm trying to go to? I'm going right enough. So I'm trying to go back over here again to see if the new thing we got allows us to get up there. I'm reasonably confident it won't, but, you know, gotta try. In worst case, if this doesn't lead anywhere, we can at the very least take that at checkpoint and warp away somewhere. Actually, thinking about it, no, this will not work at all. Because this gives us the least vertical boost of the things we've picked up so far. Also, they told me to switch spells at a shrine, but all 3 spells are equipped, so how do I choose to switch spells then? Clearly there's something that was either misunderstood or conveyed incorrectly to me. Wait, hang on. I'm not entirely sure what I did there. I think it just told me what that button was bound to. Oh no, I did fuck up something. Hang on. Reset to default, please. The way this menu's laid out is bizarre to me. I don't know why there's just not a full keybind menu. There's just this weird thing. Okay. So left stick swaps my spells. There we go. But we already established that these other spells don't do the job. Did I use this one over here yet? I don't remember. I might not have used this one yet, so we'll give this a shot. Nope, that's gonna take too long to go off. That's not gonna work. And I can't, like, control setting it off or anything. It just goes off when it wants to. So... where to go, then? Where to go? We know we can't go down here. Probably going back here would probably be my best bet, because we had nothing obvious in the way here. So we'll go to this one, go up and in. Like, things I'll give this game credit for is the sheer freedom of direction you have. Because so far, none of the boss fights have required specific abilities to do them. Okay, no, we are not going anywhere this way at the moment, because I don't have whatever that is. And, you know, typical Metroidvania things, there's going to be things like that in the way, where you obviously can tell, I don't have the thing for this, and I don't know where it is. But I will go find it at some point. But this game has given me a lot of ground to run around in, where it doesn't require too much to get there. Which is a good thing. There's the map shroom for this zone. And that's another positive, is it'll tell you how much you're missing in an area once you find the item for that. So, like, we've got 75% of this area done. We don't have the thing for color caverns yet. And turns out Deep Grotto was multiple sections, which I didn't know when I saw this before, because we only had like a third of this area when we picked up the map shroom there. And I was like, what the hell? We covered this much ground. How do I only have a third of it? And then we found out that it was also down here, and then we got up to the 60% we're at now. So that began to make a bit more sense. You have everything you need to pass here, but maybe you need some practice before you try to. Well, joke's on you, I've done this a couple times already, so... Oh. See? Easy done. So I did end up doing this in the right order without even realizing I was doing it in the right order. They're kind of getting me with this song. I'm not a fan of the acid everywhere yet, but I like this song. And of course, this is our required sewer level, judging from the piping. Fair, yeah. If you like green, this is great. I'm just concerned about the fact that I'm going to be melted by acid. Which is a reasonable concern to have, all things considered. This place is also riddled with death traps, which is certainly a thing. Okay, we used the spell we're gonna be getting to do that, which is some kind of hammer. Sure, you can call that a turtle. If you really want to call that a turtle, you can. It has turtle aspects. Get out of your hidey hole. Thank you for the 5 gifted. Haven't seen some of those people in a while. Good to see one going to Moth, though. Moth's good people. Train, please. Could you actually not walk face first into death? That would be grand. With the way these move, you almost feel like the tops of them should be platforms, but they're not. And that bothers me. Is this... Oh, I still don't have the map for this area, so I have no idea if I'm going anywhere useful. do not have any interest in going in the Mountain Dew pit right now. That doesn't seem helpful. Oh, that loops back around to the area I looked at and went no to before. Well, on the bright side, that got us another part of a health extension. I knew those were gonna hurt me. Goddamn knew it. Knew it was a trap. Because they looked just enough like they wouldn't do anything, but I was so incredibly suspicious of them since they were pretty rare around the area. Like, not very rare, but just rare enough that it's like, yep, that's gonna damage you. That's definitely gonna be something that damages you. Because it also stood out visually enough that you could tell they didn't want people being surprised when it hit them. Good enough. Still way higher up than I think I am. Huh. That's different. That's the wrong spell. That was decidedly unhelpful. It sure is pink, which is also different. God damn it. Timing this with this thing swinging back and forth here is actually rather difficult. Because you kind of have to time the launch on this thing. There we go. That's what it was supposed to be doing the entire time. Oh, but now we're at a bit of an impasse. Now I gotta do it again, but I'm more than likely gonna slam my head into that. That was the other problem, is it keeps catching these very small edges for some reason. And of course he can't jump high enough to get there, and I can't heal now because I used all my MP trying to launch myself. So we're just in an across-the-board really awkward situation. But I solved the awkward situation through death. Okay, we still made it. That's the important part. Wait for this to come down. Come on. Any day now. There you go. Out of my way so I can do the thing. Ate it. Oh my god. I feel like I'm doing this in an unintended manner. Oh my god, this spell is bad at its job. Like, somehow it just fails to launch so often. Like, I'll do everything as far as I can tell correctly, and it just doesn't launch. You know what? Fuck it. Swimming in the Mountain Dew. Get me out of here. I wish I knew where the hell I was going in here. I enjoy Mountain Dew as much as the next guy, but boy, is it unhealthy when it's melting your skin off, as it turns out. Now, hey, there's the shrine that'll open up the goddamn map for me. And what do you know? This is the correct path to where we needed to go. I literally just took one wrong turn and the entire thing went sideways. Business as usual. Okay, so I want that ability equipped. So let's go ahead and take off that. Give me that. And sure, we'll take Spike Shield for fun. That's what I was hoping, is that the swinging traps also counted as spikes, which makes Spike Shield a lot more relevant. What kind of fuckery are we dealing with here? Oh boy. For a ladybug, huh? I'll come back for that. I'm not that interested in getting that right this second. We can probably get more abilities that'll make that infinitely less awful. And I'm gonna have to go a very specific way around in here because the universe has mandated you must go this way. Via the power of levers. For those wondering why I don't just double jump out of those launches, you only get one dash, and you either vertical dash or horizontal dash. Because that's just how this game works. Nope, going swimming again. This is fine. This is still fine. I'm alive. Raking it. That's what matters. Okay, good. There is somewhere else to go here. Ooh. Acid Dungeon map room already, huh? Okay. Oh, hey, what do you know? 23% of this area. Also, we're off the map again. Nah. Ow. So you're telling me this isn't the way forward either, and oh god, does it? Oh no, maybe it is the way forward because it's got a bunch of hammers here, but we're silenced, which is the interesting thing about this. I have no idea how they expect me to get across this, aside from I don't think I have what I need to get through here. Just going out on a limb on that one. I don't think I have what I need to get through here. I think this is death. So I think the hammer is unreachable at the moment, is what this is trying to tell me. Which probably means ditto for this. Unless, like, I go up here and all the way around to get to that or something. Yeah, considering, you know, there's this whole no platforms thing and acid Mountain Dew everywhere. Yeah, it's not ideal. If I had full health, I would try to just tromp my way through it. But I don't have full health, and I'm silenced, so I can't heal. Nor do I have the MP to heal anyway. I mean, a boat might just melt, but, you know, it could be worse. Just accept my fate for a second, because what I can do is use my extra life to potentially get somewhere. Brute forcing, hooray! Brute forcing, away! Dead. Nope. Not enough health to brute force that. That's what that means. On the bright side, we have more health than we had before. So, technically, this was a positive. Ow. I have an idea how to do this without having the intended power. I don't think it's going to work, but obviously I'm game to try because it worked. This one though, this one seems to be a bit more of a problem. How about this way? There's something this way? Huh. Okay. Okay. This looks very familiar, in fact. Oh, and I'm silenced again, huh? Why am I getting thrown downward when I hit that? That's very weird. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. That ain't happening right now. I don't know if they're just that precise, or if I'm missing something to do that. I'm pretty confident, though, I'm missing a required ability to be doing that while silenced. Yeah, I didn't think I could duck that, but my attachment to my current existence is not as high as it arguably should be. One could say choose life, little mushroom, but honestly, death might be faster to get back to where we're going. Though at this point, we're almost there anyway. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other at that point. Because my goal was to get back here to the save point. And then from here, try going up here and see if this leads anywhere, if it's even reachable. Because it's entirely possible that I'm barking up the wrong tree going down here to begin with. The only reason I don't think that's the case is the fact that I needed the ability I just got to get in here, and nothing else. So there must be a path forward in here somewhere, realistically. Just based on the way these types of games are usually designed. That said, there's been a few design decisions in here that have flown in the face of any kind of logic I would have theorized anyway. So there's obviously no guarantee to what I'm assuming here. Nor is there ever really, but it's all I got to work with at the moment. Which, that's just how these things work to begin with, is you have to hope you can assume you know how the people that made this want things to be done. Come on, open up. Die. Was that necessary? No. Did it feel good? Kind of. It was good catharsis after all the things I dealt with on the other side. And yeah, we haven't been up here yet, so presumably this is the right way to go. Or at least a way to go. And it checks out that it would be way around... Ah, that's one thing I'm missing. Is I'm able to bounce off of these. That's how I was supposed to get through those vertical chambers that I was screwing up in. I should have realized when they were treated as spike damage that they'd be treated as spikes for the purposes of bouncing as well. That just makes sense. But I categorized them in my mind differently because of the fact they were a different object. I should have figured that they'd be coded similarly. Oh well. We learned, we figured it out now. That's the important part. I solved the part I needed for my health extension over this way. And we're not getting it because it's up there past the ability I'm pretty sure we get over here. So, that's a problem. Okay, now we're back on the map by going here. Which is a blessing and a curse, because this does mean I could potentially get back to that room I was in with all the verticality, now that I understand how to get through it. Well, we hit that lever, which... you know, we didn't go to the left from that checkpoint, actually. I think we'd come up to that room, and that's how it got mapped, because I saw the closed door. Oh, yeah, there's a boss fight here, so this might be something. Oh, it's gonna be something, alright. It's gonna be pain, misery, and acid. Yep, there's the misery part. Yep. Figured he was gonna have some kind of fuckery up his sleeve somewhere. Hey, hope you don't like hurting the boss, because we're gonna give him a long period where you cannot hurt him, but he sure can hurt you. Oh, and you've got a way to deny me half of the platforms in the area with minimal warning until you know that that's a mechanic. Great, great. And this is why I say the boss fights aren't the best part of this game. It's very easy to lose a lot of your health, especially in an arena like this where you're just hosed if you make one mistake and fall down into the acid. This is a fun mechanic, right? Everybody loves losing all of your health to things that are only somewhat your fault. God, it's so easy to outpace his laser in a bad way. Oh my god. And the other problem is you don't really get that much opportunity to heal so far. Yeah, this was the phase I was going to heal during, and he just wasn't fucking doing it. I should have figured that I could bounce off of him while he was lasering, even if I can't hurt him, though. That one's on me. Thanks again, game, for screwing my down slash. That is the single most frustrating thing with this game so far, is that sometimes if you are just like the tiniest bit off one side, it'll decide to sideways slash instead of down slashing. Gotta love that this didn't count as a respawn, by the way, even though I touched it. Thanks, game. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. Thanks for wasting my time and making me having to walk over there, even though, oh, that should have been a respawn. Video games. Some of them are great, and some of them exist. I'm going the wrong way. Come on. I know, right? Next, somebody will say that there's good video games. That'll be an even wilder concept. Everybody knows those don't exist. But I think now that I know what to do with that eyeball, we'll be able to get through it. It's just gonna be potentially very frustrating periodically because I'll make one small mistake, fall down into the acid bath, and have to redo the entire fight again. Because that's basically the entire thing, is fall down in acid bath, you lose all your health, you've now wasted your entire time fighting this thing. Is, oh, such an engaging boss fight with such diverse mechanics as run around in circles around the boss and stab him in the eye repeatedly. Oh, the fact that I can hit him during this phase is awful for him. Which also brings into question why I can't hit him during this phase. He's immune during this phase, but not the other one. It's very odd. I think that's one of the things that's getting me with a lot of boss fights too, is that the enemies that have invincibility have inconsistent invincibility. Okay, I'm glad I killed him, because we need that for getting to the spell. Hold A to continuously jump on top of acid, so we're just trying to outrun the ability we have to sink into acid. Huh, that's certainly a thing. Yeah, I mean, look, we could just hop, skip, and jump our way out of acid land. That literally fixes this entire area, aside from these fucking things. Next, I need complete spike immunity, and then I'll be happy. Which, we technically have pretty hefty spike immunity in that we can bounce off of spikes if we hit them. But that involves understanding that those are bounceable spikes. And we do have the spike shield now, too, but that's neither here nor there. And obviously there's gonna be situations where this isn't gonna help anyway, like that. But, bright side, we at least have something to work with now. Make sure that this is kept, and we're gonna go get that spell. And I know I said it earlier that I was gonna end at like the 5-hour mark, but like I said, if we had hit a point where we were starting to get back onto a good clip again, I would probably push farther, and lo and behold, we've actually started making some headway again. So I'm gonna follow that for a little bit longer at least. Probably clean up this bottom corner here, and then we'll save clearing up the rest of it for tomorrow. I was losing drive for it for a bit there because some parts of it were really wearing out their welcome. But this is exactly what I was saying when it could have just been a rough patch, and it's starting to turn around again, so... It's just kind of a swingy game, and I don't even mean that as a joke about the fact that that thing next to us was swinging. It's just very much a case of what's good about this game is very good. What's not so good about this game can be very not good. Don't care, going through, you can't stop me. Just look at the little mushroom man frolic his way to victory through the acid. Okay, so what are we dealing with here? Oh good, big shell man. That's gonna be exciting to fight. Is that really gonna be the whole thing? I hate this. This might be the single least engaging boss fight this game's had so far. Like, as long as you don't stand there and take repeated piles of hits and don't attack him at all, I don't think he can kill me, particularly. Like, you'd have to sit there and really be stupid to lose this readily, at least. Of course, now I'm going to potentially die because I started arbitrarily bouncing off his armor and not hitting him, but he's dead. I don't know if I can call that a boss fight. That was nothing. I think I can quite honestly just call that the most nothing fight this game has had. But hey, we have a hammer now, so that's cool. It's a very expensive hammer to throw, which is not as cool. But, you know. That opens that pathway back up. And presumably we go this way to go get the other spell. Or not. This is the way back after getting the other spell. Worked out. Got me up here where I wanted to be. Like, I'm very reminded of a boss fight from the early bits of Grime, actually, because there's a boss fight in that where the whole thing is you're hitting either side of this big thing that just is mostly just kind of sitting there and occasionally drags its shields across the room or tries to push you around. And I think that was the first major boss in that game. And it really didn't leave that great a starting impression for that game for me, because that boss fight was fucking bland. Like, this ends up in much a similar situation as far as that specific boss fight goes. This also isn't where the hammer door was. I should have marked where it was. But we can go through here correctly now. Now that we remember that we can do that. And stop trying to use spells to do weird nonsense to get up here. There's just a turtle over there. Okay. And the knockback from my own attack got me killed there. I got pushed back just enough that I got pushed back into him. There's, like, no room to move up there, like, at all. It's kind of garbage up there. I just wanted to get through there, because let's be real, there wasn't going to be anything fun about fighting all of that crap that was up there. But I didn't have the health to just push through it like I wanted to, like I just did there. Wide slash. Increase the width of your sword attacks. Will not work when silenced. Still doesn't get us through here, but that's okay. We at least gained something potentially useful. Interesting that they say the width of our attacks, though. I wonder if that's meant to imply that it's actually the length, but they're saying width because we fight horizontally? I wonder which way that actually goes. And I say that because I don't really know if there'd be a point to making this attack wider, per se. And on the plane we're on, it would technically be higher rather than wider at that angle. And yeah, this is the door I meant to open. Okay, fine, I'll heal. Yeah, not so funny when you're the one getting hit with acid, is it? Little shit. You look like you're constantly screaming, but I can talk to you. Have you been to the location safeguarded by the blue-eyed statue in Deep Grotto? I've been informed that something of significance can be found there. Honestly, I haven't the slightest idea at this point. I think we looked at that and couldn't do it at the time we were there. So that implies that we're supposed to go back there for something pretty important. Which is good information to have. The downside to that is remembering where the blue-eyed statue is. He's somewhere over here, I think. I think he was the one over by that pathway. Oh, good, another boss fight. Acid Queen Crawler. You're gonna be another nothing fight? No, you do things. Okay. You at least move. Though you have flagrant disregard for the concept of gravity, madam, I have to inform you that that is not acceptable. It's usually my job to have disregard for gravity. I'm not gonna lie, when they said she was a queen walker, I was expecting her to bring out other walkers to bother me. I'm kind of happy she isn't. I do have this thing in my brain here about the fact that I feel like this should have been earlier in the game, though. I feel like this fight should have been earlier. Well, even up until she starts flying around the room like she was doing at the end there. That was getting to be a bit much. Like, when she speeds up, she starts getting a little wild. Which is what was making me start to change my mind about my statement of, you know, maybe this should have been earlier in the game. But that speed up is kind of brutal, so maybe not. I'd almost rather she summoned minions just so I'd have more things to hit to get magic off of. Yep. I knew she was gonna fucking trap me and I had no way out of that situation. Is the problem with this game that frustrates me the most is for all that we've gained a lot of movement abilities, a lot of them don't actually do jack diddly dick for situations like that, because you will still just be trapped in a corner, no matter what the movement abilities can do for you. If you make just the one or two mistakes that lead to you being trapped in a corner, you can't get out of it. Because your dash doesn't give you any iframes, for one. For two, the dashes don't do much because they're only single dashes. And you can only do one or the other. Like, I'm fine with being forced to live with my mistakes, but when a monster's this big and half of its mechanic is walking into the corner to trap you in there, it's kinda less than great. Especially when they start speeding up like this and just are all over the fucking room. Short of spamming dashes, which I can't really even do, I don't know how I'm supposed to keep up with that. Which obviously, the more likely intent is that you're not meant to keep up with that at all. and I lose again because I just can't outpace that. And if I can't outpace that, I can't get away. So you just lose. And once again, it didn't count the small checkpoint. Really understanding all those reviews that were like, the boss fights are the worst part about this game. That they're right about that. They really are the weakest part of this game. I will say this, it does seem like a lot was learned between this game and the sequel based on what I played of the demo. Because what I played of the demo of the second game, as I said earlier on, really feels like a fairly hefty departure from this game, while keeping a lot of the positives that I've been pointing out so far. So I'm happy that they must have learned. Otherwise, that kind of change would not have occurred. And I don't really want to sit there and harp about that, but I don't have that much else to talk about that's relevant to the things that are happening. And I don't have the spare power to be going off on a tangent at the moment. Like, I think it doesn't help that this boss is basically leveraging my least favorite thing in game design, contact damage, as half of its gimmick. Which, that's another kind of fucked up and weird thing with this game. Is the first handful of bosses that were significant, for the most part, were gimmick fights. Like the guy who you can't hurt unless his weak point is available and he's not bouncing. His weak point's generally only available when he's not bouncing. And then the guy where the whole thing was knocking those orbs into him primarily. Not counting the first two bosses, which were just there, much like what we're dealing with now. Like, they basically seem to have had a split decision about their boss design, is what I'm getting at. They had a couple very gimmicky fights, and then a couple just kind of there fights like this one, which are just big enemy, runs around real fast, or does attack that hits large amount of screen. And those are their ways of being dangerous to you. Of course it fucking flipped right then. If I had just stayed on the ground and attacked, we would have won that round. I'm so mad right now. I don't think it's reading that I'm above it. I think I'm just happening to be there at the wrong times. It seems to have a fairly set pattern of movement, and I'm not sitting there and committing to memory that pattern and watching for it, so I'm getting hit by its movement. If I had had any MP left, I would have just thrown a hammer at the fucker and we would have been done with the fight already. Which is exactly why your MP is tied both to your healing and your attacking, I'm sure, is so that people don't just do that. Which, that part I respect out of that, I have to point out, is it prevents people from doing what I have had a tendency to do in these kind of games and just breaking things horrifically with some of the more powerful abilities that you're given. you then have to make a decision between using those powerful abilities and keeping yourself safer. Because this really isn't that hard to fight. I'm just doing a bad job with it. See? All I had to do was commit, but I kept hesitating at the wrong times, which is what would get me killed. Oh, that's huge, actually. Or maybe it isn't. Okay, there we go. That's better. I thought for a second it was a purely horizontal bounce, and I'm like, It does seem to be set, though. Like, it'll send you specifically at an angle. It's not controllable. Like, watch. No, it is specific to an angle, but it is more controllable than I thought. It just didn't look very controllable at first. There's potential there, but I don't know entirely how to feel about it yet. I do wonder why it has its own button to a degree. So I guess it's so that you don't end up accidentally doing that when you're just attacking normally and you happen to hit a wall. Of course, that would have been solved by making the effect of it a bit less aggressive too, but it's fine. Going over here is useless. See, there's one thing that this doesn't solve, though. And it specifically doesn't solve... How do we get over here? Because this requires being on the other side of it to open. This requires being on the other side of it to open. So was I supposed to keep going further down? And then I could, like, come back up to that? That seems like the only reasonable path, because this would go entirely too far out and around to get there. This one might actually be one that I actually need this tutorial for, because it's a little weird. Oh god, there's a lot of rooms for this. Doing a wall bounce straight after an upwards dash will bounce you backwards and up, allowing you to reach new places. Try hitting where the wall is flashing. Okay, so it's based on which bounce you use. I mean, which dash you use, rather. I don't know about this one. Yeah, because I can just do that instead, so I don't really know why they were trying to teach me to do it a different way. Oh, is that the problem with how I was doing the other one? That is really precise. Strong wall bounce. Touching a wall while doing a wall bounce will bounce you off a wall at a higher velocity. It is also indicated by a unique animation where Green Cap pushes from the wall with his mushroom cap. Okay. Okay. I probably should have watched the little clips for the other ones, but they sounded self-explanatory enough that I didn't think I needed it. Ultimate wall bounce. There's two ways to do the ultimate wall bounce, which will allow you to reach the furthest. First is do a strong wall bounce, then jump into a forward dash. The other way is to jump first, then do a strong wall bounce into a forward dash. So it's still combining all three, is the idea. I'm not a fan of the precision that's required to get that first jump to work, though, is you have like maybe a frame or two to do that. Sliding wall bounce. In this challenge, you'll need to do a strong wall bounce while on the ground, and right before you're about to drop off the ground, you should jump while keeping the momentum from the wall bounce. You will reach far enough to do a forward dash over the spikes. This sounds an awful lot like what I was just talking about. Because the problem is, I keep doing the wrong dash out of that because I try to jump, but I jump a frame too late. Sliding bounce into an upward dash. You need to do a strong wall bounce while on the ground, and then once you drop off, upward dash up. The thing I was accidentally doing the entire time. Like that. Like, this is cool. I feel like they could have given this to me earlier and had it been more of a dynamic that would be usable. You can actually climb up some walls if they're close enough together by just wall bouncing off the walls consistently. Yeah, I figured that one out already. Okay, so we got all 8 of the things. I will say that as fun as that wall bouncing is, it does feel ever so slightly strange. Like, the fact that your entire attack range can trigger it is what makes it a bit strange. Which I assume that's meant to give you more control with it, but to me it almost feels like it actually does the opposite. I'm of mixed feelings with that, you're right. Like, you're right that it'll break some things, but the kicker to that is it's gonna require somebody sitting down and really working with it for it to break things too much. Like, I'm sure any speedrun of this probably involves using that very heavily once you get it. So a big key point in the speed for that would probably be finding a way to get to that as quickly as possible. Because it then makes all of your other movement abilities mostly irrelevant, it almost seems. Again, as long as you can properly use it. But it depends. If they make the level design in such a way as to limit it out, it would still work. One of the 10 sacred mushroom commandments for ensuring safety and prosperity: thou shalt construct and maintain what is within your power, as the act of repairing this world leads to a state of prosperity. Well, no shit. Fix thing, good thing happen. See, this is exactly what I mean, though, is since this is designed with this capability in mind, it's actually nowhere near as good as it may seem. This game is using too many wildly different buttons to a certain degree, which is not making this easier. It's very easy to lose the momentum that you need to make this move work, by virtue of the fact that if you just miss the thing that you're meant to be aiming for by like a pixel, you lose all of that momentum instantly, because you have to make a different movement to reach it. Like, look at that. I had so much momentum there, and the second I touched that thing, momentum's dead. Just full stop. Like, there seems like there's something wrong with that. And this is exactly what I mean with how this may not be as strong as it seems. But presumably that's where I'm meant to be using this, is to get across this pit. But I'm using the best wall bounce I can do, and it still barely made it. Dashing after getting hurt will turn you invulnerable for a short amount of time. How about you actually give me iframes on the goddamn dash, video game? Like, that is really particular about doing what it's supposed to do. Like, it's both using a lot of buttons and not, if that makes sense. Technically is only using the 2 shoulder buttons, but in order to hit the thing from the angles I was trying to hit it before, I was also having to add an extra jump in there and hit it, which made it go a little weird. Bring me the eye and I will expand your vision. That's great, but that doesn't tell me much of anything right now. Like, the end point of that is, I think I might have just been a little bit too tired for doing that the way they wanted me to do that. And I made it way harder than it needed to be initially. But I said that once we grabbed the spell over there, we were gonna stop, but it's turning out to be way more involved to get over there than I thought, so we will be wrapping up here, because otherwise I'm just going to have further trouble getting anything done. This does put us at about 4 hours into this game, with the Lurkit game cut out of today's time, so that should be about the halfway point theoretically through this game. Quiet me. Yeah, I will say, for me personally, I wish they had just given me like a classic wall jump instead of that weird bounce. I see good potential in that wall bounce, it's just gonna end up giving me headaches as well at the same time, is the thing with that one. Let's see. Where am I going to send y'all today? Which part of the push for stopping is, I could tell that I was getting steadily more aggravated with the bits of this game, and I can tell my throat's getting mad at me. So, partially because of the couple outbursts of frustration that have happened. So rather than push my luck, it seems like a good time to cut the line there. I just have to figure out where I'm sending everybody. If I go there, I'm gonna get into a whole thing. I'm playing something similar enough to Hollow Knight while they're playing Hollow Knight, so they're invariably going to ask me how I feel about that game, and then they're gonna find out I don't like it, and it's gonna get turned against me, so we're just not doing that. Problem is, half of these are ones that I've rated recently enough. Again. And I would come into this with a plan ahead of time, but I cannot rely on anybody else's schedules particularly. Is the second I start doing that is the moment where that's going to break down, because the moment they will not be there when I look for it. And then it all falls apart. Okay, you know what? I'm having too much indecision here. Coin. Put it between these two. It'll land where it will. There we go. Done. Easy clap. Means we're not going anywhere particularly new, but I can't sit here and waste everyone's time and mine sitting here being indecisive. And at least she's playing something interesting. So that'll do. That'll do. So, thank you all for taking the time to be here today. I will be back tomorrow. If I don't decide to shelve this, we will finish this tomorrow. I still need to process a little bit more about how I feel about this game, because I have concerns about where it's going to get to. Absolutely. Because some of the things it's starting to ask of me make me question whether this is going to turn into a frustration simulator or not, and that's what I need to make a decision on. But I'll make that decision before tomorrow, and basically you'll know the answer whether or not by virtue of what gets announced tomorrow. That's what I'll play. Then Thursday I'll figure something out for Ditto with Friday, and then Saturday we're back to 7 days. So I'll see you all tomorrow one way or the other. Good night.